Hetepu, Assalamu alaikum, Namaste, Harun Nefer. This is Qesankh my Keperu with another exciting video for you. And in this video, we're going to follow up on our series with the Kamitic Tree of Life, the Port Naturu, and we're going to be talking about Amen and Geb. But before I do that, I want you to hit the like button on this video. If this is your first time to my channel, hit the like button and the subscribe button to get notifications on when I upload new videos or when I go live. If you're interested in knowing more about my spiritual teachings, you can scroll down below and click on one of 4 ebooks that are absolutely free. You can download them today and start reading. If that doesn't wet your whistle, you can go deeper down the rabbit hole by becoming a Patreon supporter. You can become a supporter for as little as $1, $5, or $20 per month. And you will get exclusive access to instructional videos on the spiritual and esoteric, videos that will teach you how to meditate, how to do self-hypnosis, how to work with the ancestors, how to build magical amulets. And we have 2 series that we're running. The first one is dealing with ancestral trauma, how to get rid of that. The other one is revealing the Bible secrets. So those mini series are available to you absolutely free as a supporter of us on Patreon. So become a supporter today. You can cancel at any time. Last but not least, share this video with family and friends so we can get this revolution started. Harun Nefer, Namaste, Grand Rising. Welcome back. And for all of you who are new, we are talking about the Kamitic Tree of Life, which is basically the manual as to how you as an individual, as a avatar, function. You see, the problem with the main religions that are heavily promoted, and I'm talking about Christianity, Catholicism, Judaism, and Islam. You see, the way these things are taught today, they are religion. They are dogma. They are a set of ideologies masquerading as history books, as if those characters actually existed. Muhammad did not exist. Jesus did not exist. But the ruling elite created these religions to imprison you and keep you away from the knowledge of yourself. That's why you go to Kemet, you go to Egypt today, you'll see on the temple wall inscribed, "Know thyself." Because those books do not contain, I'm talking about the major religions, any information on how the spirit, how you function, how you work. And in my previous videos, I talked about this old series, I think it was from the early 80s, called The Greatest American Hero. And in that series, he is visited by aliens. He's just a regular Joe. And they give him a super suit like Superman. And they give him a manual on how to operate the powers within that super suit. Well, after leaving the UFO, he loses the manual. And the rest of the series is basically spent with him trying to learn and figure out how to work that super suit. And that's you. You see, the ruling elite has taken away the knowledge of self, so you don't know how to use the powers that are within you. And the Bible alludes to this when God says, "Let us make man in our image." So you have the same powers as God, not in quantity, but in quality. But the manual has been hidden. And that manual has now resurfaced and come to us in the form of the Kamitic Tree of Life, or the Kamitic spiritual system. You understand? And by studying that Tree of Life, that Port Naturu, you begin to understand how to operate the powers that work in you. Because that Tree of Life And I'm going to bring that up so you can have a reference point as to what I'm talking about if you haven't seen the previous videos. That tree of life has gone through many iterations, okay? And by studying it, you begin to understand the faculties or the energies or the powers within you, because those gods and goddesses reside within you. They are not external, meaning God does not reside in the external world. God is within you. God placed its consciousness within you so that God could have an experience. In fact, God created two different realms, which I'll dive into a little later, which is the subjective realm and the objective realm. Now, on the previous videos, we covered, like Qesankh and Tahuti and Heru and Sekert. So here we're going to be dealing specifically with Amen. This is the hieroglyphic for Amen, sometimes known as peace, the hidden, undifferentiated, let me say it right, undifferentiated, I'm not going to be able to say it. But anyway, you get the point. It is matter that has not been separated or individualized. And here we have Geb. And Geb represents the matter that has been individualized. Amen represents the subjective realm, and Geb represents the objective realm. Now, one is higher on the tree of life than the other because the tree of life has a hierarchy. And one of the things that I really stress is that those individuals out there who are trying to teach you about the gods and goddesses of Kemet don't really know what they're doing, because there is a relationship between those deities. There is a relationship between Qesankh and Tahuti, Sekert and Heru. You cannot teach one without understanding the other. And if you do so, you're committing a great sin, and you're just doing exactly what European culture has always done: separate things, label, define them, and not showing how things come together and relate, not showing a holistic world. You see, our ancestors created this science called cosmology. And that is important. Now, one of the key things on this Kamitic tree of life, the Port Neteru, is that the deities that correspond to one another add up to 10. If we look at Heru and Sekert, the 7 to 3, you'll see on the tree add up to 10, as well as the Qesankh 8 and Tahuti 2 adds up to 10. And then, of course, we have Amen, which is 0, and we have Geb 10. 0 cancels itself out, and we have 10. So the two worlds, the subjective realm is Amen, meaning that all that exists is the one that is Nete or Nebetcher, Lord of all. And it is Nebetcher, or God, Amen, had nothing to interact with, because all there was Amen. So from the one, he, she created the two, and thus was born the objective realm of Geb. Geb is the earth. Geb is the physical state of everything. Geb is everything individualized. Amen is the subjective, the one. This is why these two complement each other in this way. You see, you cannot have one without the other. The highest state that you reach will be Amen, the state of rest, the state of peace, that which is hidden. But you must first start out at the very bottom of the tree of life, which is Geb, which is the physical emotions that we so indulge in every day. I was at a Popeyes today, and I wanted to try their red beans and rice. That's all I was getting. So I decided not to go to the drive-thru, but I wanted to go inside and place my order because I thought it was quicker. And there was this sister there, and she had placed an order online, and they could not find her order. And she started just cursing for no reason, threatening to slap the F out of the worker, physically threatening her. Now this is Geb. This is the emotional state that this world has put us in, because they have taught us how to indulge our emotions, and they tell us it's good, but it's not, because the highest state that you should be striving to reach is Amen, to be at peace in the face of the greatest challenges. Now, there was a gentleman there who was next to me, and he said to her, "So you're going to go to jail over a couple of chicken wings?" And she actually stopped and thought about it. And he had said that, it's not that big a deal, because they couldn't find her order. And, they were going to take her, and they did. They took her order right then and there, and they filled it. But she had went off unnecessarily into this emotional tirade, because we have been trained to do that. When you look at modern media, it is so corrupt. In fact, you don't realize it's corrupt because you've been indoctrinated into it slowly but surely. You have been taught that an emotional explosion is okay every now and then if you don't get your way. You know what I'm saying? But no, absolutely not. You see, you should be at peace at all times. And you will notice that when you are Amen and at peace, your IQ raises. But when you're emotional at that Geb level, your IQ drops. This is why they don't teach meditation, which is good for the mind, in school. They don't want educated individuals. See, one of the things that really puts you in a bad situation is the nourishing of the ego. And Set, S-E-T, in the Kamitic story of Asar and Set, the Osirian drama, Set was the ego. And Haru's battle against Set was to not nourish the ego, to subjugate the ego. You're not going to get rid of the ego because you need it to exist in this fourth dimensional plane, or we can say this fifth dimensional plane, which we have three dimensions of space, one of time, and the other one is consciousness. So your goal is to look at your conduct on a daily basis and say to myself, how are my actions feeding the ego? And how can I stop that? And this is what the tree of life is about. It's showing you from starting a Geb to go into a Set, Sebek, Heteru, Haru. As you're climbing, you're dealing with different emotions or faculties within you. And their teachings get you to understand a higher level. Like the teachings of Tahuti, which I always say Tahuti teaches us, nothing has a quality in and of itself. Nothing essentially is good or bad. It's only your perspective that taints it, that gives it a quality. The situation that woman was in, and she's yelling because she defined it as They weren't accommodating to her. So she got emotionally upset because she had defined it and said that that situation is bad. So she's justified in reacting in a very emotional way. And she wasn't. Because a lot of situations that I go through, there's two things I understand. Number one, I said, what is the lesson I must learn from the situation? Number two is that what do I have to believe that gives rise or manifests this situation? You see, I know that most of the time, not 100%, when I'm dealing with a situation, I actually manifested that. So I asked myself, what is the belief system that I harbor that gives rise to this situation or scenario? Because I know everything that I see around me, I manifested in some way, shape, or form. So I know that there's a reason for it. So you have to ask yourself when you get into situations, what do I need to learn from a situation? What belief system that I'm holding on to that's giving rise to this situation? Don't ever let it obstruct your peace, your amen, because then you fail. You see, the Christians have it backwards. You have these T.D. Jakes and Creflo Dollars and Joel Osteens who smile at you as if the world is supposed to accommodate you, as if everything is supposed to fall in line to make you happy. That's a false belief system. There are things in life that are just going to conspire to disrupt your life, to disrupt your joy. But you must understand that you may not have control over those situations, but you do have control over how you react. Do you understand? That's important. You have control of how you react to the situation. And if you affirm that situation by showing an emotional response toward it, it will happen again and again and again. But if you're at peace and you don't give any energy to that situation or scenario, then it won't manifest again because you have told reality, the universe, I don't want this situation to be in my reality. You understand? If someone is disrespecting you, you have to figure out what is it that you may be subcommunicating or psychically communicating that gives them legitimacy to disrespect you. You have to ask that question. And you also have to ask, well, why are they in your reality in the first place? See, this is a higher state. This is where you become a god because now you are realizing that these things in the outside world don't happen independently. They're happening because of you. You are the creator. You are creating these things to interact with. And when something doesn't go or align with the way you want it, then you as the creator have to look at yourself and not look at the outside world or blame other people. You know what I mean? So this is where we're at. We're looking at Geb and we're looking at Amen. Geb is at the top of the tree because that is Neter, that's God. That's the one. It is no thing, no thingness. There's nothing there. And then we're looking at Geb, which is everything that's been individualized, separated, labeled, and defined, which allows you to interact with it. And it's the emotions too. It's the state of your health. When you're feeling sick or ill, then you have a Geb issue. And you need to see a doctor or a homeopathic specialist. So I want to thank you for tuning in today. where I'll be back with another look into the pairing of the different deities and the tree of life. And remember, we look at things in pairs from a cosmological perspective. We don't think like the Western way of just looking at things compartmentalized and individualized. That will skew the world and give us not a real picture of what's going on. So I want to thank you. This is Qesankh Ma'akiparu, son of Ma'antuli. My aunt is the beautiful goddess Hetheru. Until the next video, I'm in Ra.